Welcome back to another episode of the E34 S52 swap series. So today's episode is the episode where you will probably see me get the most frustrated. Oh my god. Probably seen you complain the most. This f***ing mother. And I will be as miserable as can be. That's just not gonna work. Because in this episode, we are handling the manual swap stuff, starting from the inside, leading down to where the trans will be. So we have to take care of the pedal box, the clutch hydraulics have to be ran, and then later on we will clean the engine bay up and get the engine bay ready. So to start, this is where the parts car stuff comes in. So we got the manual pedal kick plate with the 2 slots here as opposed to the auto. We have our pedal box here with the old master still hooked in. Oh no, I guess not. But manual pedal box here, the most frustrating thing to do on this car. Shifts around and some clutch hydraulic lines. We got the hard line, the infamous hard line, where if you guys watched my touring manual swap series, you saw me like have a mental breakdown doing this. And then we have the into the master line, which I actually bought new, but it doesn't quite look the same, so I don't know if I'll use that or not. But yeah, so this is the episode with the most tedious of work because we have to tear apart the entire driver's side steering column area to do this, which is super scary and not fun with a rare color interior. All the electronics and stuff we will probably wait till later on in the swap series because I want my battery back in so I can test what I'm doing. So the trans program air and stuff like that we'll do later on. But this is going to be prepping the car itself to accept the manual swap. So not quite S52 related right now. This will be mainly manual swap stuff. But let's get in there and start tearing things apart. Let's go ahead and get out the shifter and the shifts around here because these are no longer necessary. Once upon a time I didn't know about this and I destroyed an auto shifter. You pull off your Prindle first, and then there's Phillips that hold, I think, this whole thing down. So before you break it, check that. Just gotta kind of carefully work with this. We want to get this rod off the shifter assembly itself. It's a little circlip here. Okay. There we go. Now once this nut's loose, then you can pull this out and back and up, and there's your shifter cable detached. There's a grommet there we're going to push through once I get this out of the way. Now you have the convenient hole where our shifter will come up for the manual. All these wires we'll mess with later. Get this grommet pushed through, fall that to the ground, and then there you go. The kick plate off and not break anything. Oh, this car is already missing a few. Interesting. And then you can see this just kind of fell. This auto we don't need. You can cut these out, but this one's cracked, so not gonna be doing that. Get the venting out of the way. And now we have access to our pedal box and our column. So I guess now would be a good time to talk about what I have here on my head, helping me see under this dash and things like that. So if you guys have been watching me for a while, you know there's absolutely zero promotion for brands or products on this channel because truthfully, if it's not something that I find useful to myself or useful to you guys, I will not promote it because I don't feel like putting stuff like that on my channel because I like to keep it very real on this channel. Repairing BMWs and things like that. I will always keep it completely honest with you guys and that is why I have turned down a lot of promotions and stuff like that, because it's not about the money for me, it's about a real channel that will teach people. But when I got the offer for this thing right here to try it out, I decided to accept it because the one thing I have been very frustrated with when working on cars, especially when doing something like this, is the lighting situation. Now you can get spotlights, you get garage lights, and you can get these strip bars here, but the thing about those is they're hard to move around, and a lot of times they won't get into the areas where you want them. You can see here, the strip light I have here, it does not help me see under the dash in the slightest. And that is when you use a spotlight, and guess what? Spotlights suck too, because then they're in your working space, and they're huge and they're annoying. But what this is an LED headlamp that lights up everywhere you look. Like if you see down here, I can see the entire underside of the steering column and dash, and that is game changing to me, because as someone who's been working on these cars for many years, lighting makes all the difference. And when you can't see, it is very hard to work. And when you're dealing with stuff like this, a lot of delicate wires and connectors and stuff like that, you need to see what you're doing. So I've been trying this out past couple days when I work on my cars, make sure I like it and enjoy it. And I can confidently say, if you guys work on cars like I do, you will really like to add one of these to your arsenal. So this thing has 2 different LED settings for the strip lamp, and then it even has a spotlight. So you can direct the light on smaller areas, which is also very helpful if you're looking at one particular thing. And what's even cooler about this thing is it has a motion activated option. So if you want to swipe your hand, turn it on and off, rather than fiddling for the buttons, makes it super easy to do so. Just know from now on my videos will be majorly improved with the use of this thing, so I could not be happier. Thank you to Odelphi for sending me one of these. If you guys want one for yourself, I'll share the link in the description below, and if you use the code JOSHE34 as fitting, then you can get 10% off of your purchase, and trust me, you will really enjoy this thing. This is an absolute game changer. So again, JOSHE34, coupon code, 10% off. Go ahead and grab yourself one of these if you work on cars like I do. You will love it. Now we get into the realm of things we don't enjoy, and that is getting this column and box out. Alright, so just do yourself a favor, leave the sensor in place and just unplug the connector to it. Even that's not easy apparently. There we go. And then there's a little circlip, you pull it this way, and then you spin it, slide it out. Your brake pedal is now detached from your booster. Pull that retainer off. That's 1, that's 2. There we go. So that's that, so you can lower this, get that plastic off, and now there's 2 more right there, further down. That's the top of the box, and those have to come out, and then the whole column will be ready to pull. But first I'm going to unclip all these connectors. Alright, here comes the fun part, getting the column out. So it should just pull. It's always the steering column. Okay, so change of plans. For some reason, the lower column to the upper column almost always seizes. Huge pain. So I just undid the little knuckle bolt right here that holds, I guess that's not the upper, I guess that's middle to lower. And then the bolt that holds the middle to the upper, I undid, and that comes out a lot easier than the bottom one. Now you have access to what will be these 2 holes here, which will have plugs in them. So you just gotta pull out the plugs, the little cutouts. BMW is very nice about this, making their cars all pretty manual friendly here, or manual swap friendly. Pop the plugs, and that's where your feed into the master and the outlet of the master will go. And here we have our pedal boxes, manual, auto. You can obviously see the difference here. So now we get to one of the other most fun parts, and that is this impossible right here, which we have to slot to get off because it's a bolt with no head on it. I did a horrible job cutting that. Wow. Hopefully this one's easy to get out, because that will not be easy if that breaks. Man, how did I just do this so poorly? I made another slot, and luckily I have this old impact driver, which is for like old bikes, and I was finally able to break it free. We got it. Now I gotta get a bolt with a head to put there. I got a new bolt in with a head. I had it from a parts car, same thread pitch, worked perfectly. So this is all ready to go back in, but before we do that, we have to get to the next miserable part, which brings us into the engine bay. We have to route the clutch master feed from the reservoir here. So I have to drain out the fluid, the brake fluid, and then there is a nipple right there. All the reservoirs have it. They're plugged up on these cars, the auto cars. You could either put a manual box in or you could just cut it. I think I'm just gonna cut it, and then you gotta route the line, which is not the easiest, but we'll do it. But first we gotta pull the fluid. Brake fluid on this car is really foul, really dark. Pull, good. Okay, for the reservoir, like I said, you just cut this in the back here, just like that. Now you have the outlet opened up. It's already got like the little barb on there. New line, no longer fabric anymore, which is weird, but I'm gonna cut this to fit that over the barb. So to the right slash under the booster, and then in the top port. There we go. Before I place that, I'm gonna go inside and get the grommet. So this is the grommet. It's gonna go through the hose, or the hose is gonna go through it. All right, time to get the column back in. I already know this is gonna suck. I'm having a hell of a time getting everything to fit. Oh my god. This f***ing mother. That's just not gonna work. Okay, I finally got the column lined up. Now we basically just hook everything back up that we undid earlier. I'm not gonna make you guys watch that. I'm just gonna go through it, and I'll see you guys when this column is back in place. And that was about as miserable as I told you guys it would be. It never gets easier. That was horrible. But everything's in, tightened up. Now, it's time for the new master. I went with the FTE. This is one of the things you really don't want to cheap out on, because you do not want to have to replace this. These suck to replace. And we got a brand new elbow for it. So this is where the line comes in off the reservoir. Goes in right there. Well, the last few hours were about as miserable as you would imagine they were. Remember my white wagon? Those of you that remember, I said I will never do this job again. Well, here I am doing it again, and it is just as miserable. And this time I want to say I mean it when I say never again. I despise this frickin' job. I finally got the hard line in. You can see that green line against the firewall down through the bracket. That's where the master comes out right there, so that's how you have to tighten it. So I had to use about 3 different wrenches to kind of get that tight. I thought it'd be easier with the engine out. It's not. Honestly, the best way to do it is just fully tighten it and then shove it through the firewall, and then have a second person probably guide it. But I got it tight enough, I hope. I really won't know until everything is back together, and then we're really going to be miserable if something goes wrong. But nonetheless, it is in the hardest part of this entire, honestly, this entire job is done. There we have the master bolted down. I have to hook up the pedal to it. Back there you see the feed line. That was also a pain in the ass. But we have the manual pedals, and we have our, well, the top half of our hydraulics hooked up for the most part. I gotta put the sensor in, the clutch thing, and then hook this up. I'm gonna leave everything off until I bleed the clutch system because I want to make sure there's no leaks. I'm sure it'd be fine, but I just want to be able to see. So I'm just going to leave the interior how it is. Like I said, we'll get to the electronics later because I need a battery for all that. Oh, and while we're doing this, I forgot to note what you need for the manual swap in this front fuse box. Hopefully you pulled this from the manual car if you thought about it. This is the starter bypass relay. Since you're doing auto to manual, the car, since it doesn't have like any of the auto stuff, it won't want to start without this. This bypasses it. This goes right here. So pop out that relay and pop this one in. And boom, there you go. Car will not start without that. So now that is done. Time to push this thing out and clean up this engine bay so it's nice and clean for the S52. All the leaks will be fixed, so I want an engine bay that looks as if it has never been leaked in. So, going pretty good. Alright, nice. Now the only thing is, if it hopefully doesn't pick up speed and hit my E36. I need to cover up that ECU box because there's some modules and stuff in there. So I'm going to go over there and first pull out the old ECU because I'm not using it, so there's no point in risking giving it water damage. But then I'm going to cover that area with some plastic, and from there, I guess I'll cover the body harness and this, but there's not much else in here that I would say I'm too worried about. The headlight wiring and stuff I'm going to not hit too hard. Mainly we're doing like the frame rail bottom areas, so I got to put a cap on my washer or my brake fluid reservoir, and other than that then we're pretty safe without all the stuff in here. Alright, so the weapons of choice for this, I got a DeWalt pressure washer here. It's like a lighter duty pressure washer. I don't really want to use my industrial. And then I got a very watered down, I guess not too watered down, Adams all-purpose cleaner. So my plan is I'm going to power wash obviously all the loose stuff. And then I think I'm actually going to foam gun it, get a bunch of suds, and then I'm going to APC the spots I need to. And then I got an assortment of detail brushes in hopes to make this look pretty good. The engine bay is really not that dirty, but I want to get down on the frame rails here where most of the dirt is. I'm not really too concerned about hitting up here because it's not that dirty. Alright, so it's coming along nicely. I gotta let degreaser soak over here a little bit more. This stuff's really caked on. This is from the power steering leak from this hose, but otherwise it's looking decent. I got my guidance counselor here letting me know how to actually properly do this. And there we have it. After a few more foam can jobs, some more scrubbing, it air dried, and it actually looks really nice. That was obviously the worst. I don't know why I didn't do it better before, but that was pretty much black. That was pretty bad. Battery tray was gross. It all looks pretty nice. I mean, the blue just has some like heat stains or whatever the coating they cover this stuff up with. So like the engine bay is not going to be perfect. This is going to be brand new, so I'm not worried about that. That hose will be new. Coolant hose will be covered. But the blue is what I cared about, and the blue came out perfectly. So I didn't really have the proper tools for this. I honestly could have done probably a better job. Like the AutoZone degreaser, I wouldn't use that on an engine bay. That will ruin like black plastics and stuff. But it's what I had. And then I used all-purpose cleaner, which was honestly kind of too weak. Foam gun, pressure washer. It did the job though. I'm pretty happy about this, so cannot complain. Now we have a nice clean engine bay with no oils. Like especially this is what really matters. This was so filthy. So I'm really happy to see that. This engine bay cleaned up nicely. I've never done this to a car before, so I'm pretty stoked. But now, get this back in the garage, and we're gonna do the blower motor on it. That's the last thing I'm gonna do to this engine bay before the S52 goes in, because doing that with the motor in is a pain in the ass, so let's take advantage of the fact that it's out. So there's a lot of debate and drama about blower motors in the E34 world. People have bad luck with the aftermarket ones, and rightfully so when you're buying eBay and stuff. But FCP sells this ACM blower motor, which is 75, 80 bucks. Genuine is $450. You will not catch me. I don't care what people say about what. You will not catch me spending $450 for a freaking blower motor. Wow, this packaging is pretty crazy. Actually give you a casing to mount it to ship it so it doesn't break. This feels nice. This is a nice looking unit. I don't think I've ever done a blower motor on E34, or at least a new one. I've replaced with old units, but I'm interested to see what it looks like in here because, like I said, this car had a lot of leaves. It was a fire hazard, and I still get a lot of like kind of residue of leaves. So my guess is that there will probably be a decent amount in here that I'll have to vacuum out. Oh Lord. Oh boy. Bad start. A lot of leaves over here in this corner. Oh lordy. That is not good at all. Dude. Oh my god. It's thick. Okay, so this car, I think once upon a time had to have sat outside under a tree during fall because there's like a lot of residual like stuff that just has to be cleaned. But dude, look how bad it is in here. No wonder why this thing almost caught on fire, man. There's a freaking whole tree in here. I mean, dude, that is thick. Wow. All right, I'm gonna bust out the vacuum. This is insane. But now we just gotta unstrap this. Oh, the actual fan compartment's not bad, but down there I do see a lot of leaves, and that is why I'm getting residual leaves. So I'm gonna have to vacuum that out. There's a lot of leaves actually in these fans. Doesn't look too bad. I mean, this fan worked. Like I said, on power 1, it was kind of weak, but it doesn't look horrible. But I figured for peace of mind, we might as well undo it. Put a pick in and unlatch it. And here is our old motor. This actually spins pretty good for a original motor. But let's see, let's compare that to the new one. Honestly, not all that different. This obviously spins a little bit better, but not a bad fan, but it's just old, and as you guys know, when they get old, like I said in my blower motor video, the resistance starts to heat things up. That's why you mess up the resistor. That's why you have fires. It'd be dumb not to change this with no engine. I mean, you see I'm literally standing here. It makes it very easy. A little bit of blue in the corner there. That's your resistor, and all that in there is leaves. So let's clean this thing up. There we go. You see it'll spin, doesn't hit anything. So we are good to go there. Hook up the electrical connections. I found the new trick. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how you do it. You get a pick, you go through this hole, down into one of the holes on the bottom strap. You get the pick through both, and then you bend it this way, and it'll connect the two. I cannot believe I never thought to do this. That is how you do it. So now this engine bay is pretty much squared away. We got it cleaned up. We got the blower motor done. That's pretty much everything that there is to do in this engine bay for the swap. Nothing has to be modified or anything like that. Some of these hoses will be replaced, but that stuff doesn't matter. We can set the motor in here and have no issues. I'm very happy with how this came out. It looks super nice. Getting all the nasty oil and stuff off the frame rails. Battery tray looks nice. Everything looks nice. So that is our second episode of the S52 swap. We are making good progress here. I'm going nice and slow like I said I would. I'm taking my time. I'm really enjoying this. I really like going through a car and doing all the extra mile stuff. Really makes me feel good because it's going to make me enjoy this car even more. So hope you guys enjoyed. This was probably the most tedious of the episodes in the series. That interior stuff, that clutch hydraulic stuff, routing, like I said, I despise it. Never gets easier, but it's done. We are ready to drop the S52 in the car. The S52 itself, not quite ready yet, so that will be in the next episode. We are going to re-gasket it, take the stuff from the M50 that we need for that, and all that stuff. So, Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching and sticking through to the end. I really appreciate you guys. I hope you guys are enjoying this series. Since I got a tripod now, I think the camera works a lot better. So let me know what you think about that. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.